Hey, welcome back to Rad Repairs. This is episode 4. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to continue the trend from the last video of disassembling and repairing a controller and restoring it. But this time I'm going to actually have to do some part swapping to do it. We're going to use this original Nintendo Entertainment System controller, and we're going to repair the cable on this NES-101 controller, also known as the bone controller. And this is the NES-101. If you're not familiar with this one, it's just the top loading console that came out after the Super Nintendo was released, and it plays Nintendo games, original NES games, in a top loader fashion. Now, to do what we're going to do today, we're going to need a few things to do it with. You can see I've kind of got everything laid out here. We've got a soldering iron and solder. We've got scissors, a Phillips head screwdriver, wire strippers, heat shrink, and some snips, because we're going to do some cable cutting and some splicing with cables as well. Now, I've already taken the screws out of these controllers, so let me show you what we're going to do. These particular models of the controller actually had wires that went into the board, as opposed to how the bone controller used theirs. It was actually a connector, and you'll see that in just a second. What we're going to do is we're going to snip these off here at the end to keep this cable exposed, because we're going to need the excess length that we can get to be able to strip it down and do some soldering. And the inside of the bone controller, you can see it actually has a little connector here. What I thought I would do is actually pull the cables, the wires out of this clip and see if I could actually get it to where I could insert the cables from this good wire in here. Now, the reason I'm calling that a good wire and this a bad wire is because this one has several locations in the cable that it has been electrical taped, because it had frayed over the years. So this has been it's been loved, it's been used. So we actually have to keep this piece, because what we're going to do is we're going to strip this out and attach these wires to these wires. So the first thing we're going to do, move this stuff out of the way, give ourselves a little bit of room. Pull the board out of here, well, pull the cable and the board out of this controller. Slide that out of the way. Get rid of this pad stuck on the bottom here. And we're just going to snip the cables off pretty far down here. We've got our good cable here and our 5 colored wires that are going to correspond to the 5 colors of the other connector. So, and we need to strip off a piece of the cable here, and we're going to be pretty liberal with it. And so you're going to want a nice good chunk to work from. So we're going to snip it pretty far down the wire. So here goes nothing. Oh, went flying. So let's strip that down. So here you go. Now we've got our 5 color cables and our good connector ready to go. So we take our other cable here, and just, you can tell that it has the same colors. It's pretty nice of Nintendo to do that when they assemble these different controllers, to leave the cable just the same. So we're probably going to have to strip some more of this black wire down, because what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to get some of the heat shrink onto these cables. I keep calling it a cable, I'm sorry. These wires, to be able to then slide them over the top once we're done, to get them to cover the solder joints that we're going to make. So let's cut a little bit of that back a little bit more. Alright, that should be fine. And we're not going to need much on the solder joints. So even just a little tiny bit of heat shrink, we've got 5 different colors here, even just a tiny little bit is going to be enough to cover that little tiny solder joint we're going to make. So it doesn't have to be a whole lot. So, I'm going to go ahead and strip our wire down just a little bit. Cool. So, I'm going to use this red one. I'm really not going to go very far. And we'll just do those one at a time. I'll leave these off to the side. Let me do this other wire first. There we go. Alright, once you get your pair twisted together there, we're going to get a little bit of solder going here. Alright, we've got these solder joints made. So now let's see if we can't get them all covered up with our heat shrink. Okay, now that that's done, I had to go off camera and do a test, plugged it into my Nintendo. Fired up Super Mario Bros. 2 just to confirm that everything still worked, and it does. So now we have to solve the problem of how to get the cables inside of the controller nice and clean and tucked away. So let's see what we can do there. I'm going to use a little bit of electrical tape here. See if I can get that cable to stay down. We should have enough room. It's definitely going to be a tight fit. Well, there you go. This is a nicely repaired NES bone controller. Cable all tucked inside. It is a bit of a tight fit, but overall I think that's going to hold up really well and hopefully last several years to come. So hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and share it to your friends, and please subscribe. Hey, I'll see you next time right here on Rad Repairs.